Welcome to the podcast. My name is David Shanhun, and these are the chats I wish I could have had with someone as I've created life as a full-time musician. If you're on that road and you need a friend, or you need to hear the same stories and struggles that you're going through from another human's mouth, you're in the right place. Connect with me at davidshanhun.com and let's move you into that space where you're really thriving and sharing your gifts with the world. Let's go. Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. Yes, it happened. I'm so sorry. We are coming to you on a Tuesday morning. I went to a cafe actually this morning and was sitting there having a coffee, doing a little bit of admin work for last Wednesday's club, which is a singer-songwriter night I've started running. And I opened up my laptop. It was 8:02 Monday, and I was like, fuck. I did not record a podcast ready for Monday, so I'm recording this tonight. It is obviously going out a day late, but I thank you for tuning in, and welcome to life. It's the easiest way I can put it. I had a beautiful weekend playing a whole bunch of shows, and that really has brought me to part of what we're talking about in this topic, which is really about predominantly singing. We're going to talk about your false vocal folds, as well as I guess what to do. How do you sing on a day where you're struggling, or you've lost your voice, or you're not feeling the greatest? Some of these things will of course apply to guitar and that side of things too, in terms of tension in your body, but predominantly we're gonna focus on the vocal side of things. When I've been sick, the reality is if I don't feel the greatest or that sort of thing, usually for me anyway, physically my fingers, my arms feel less affected, and so what I mean is I can still play the guitar if I'm sick or got a cold or any of those sorts of things. In terms of my voice, however, and again, this may be relevant to you, it may not be. This is just my experience, but the thing that I find when I'm playing a lot is I still have a tendency to struggle with vocals. I use additional muscles when I'm singing that I don't really need to. That is a process of training, and one of the things I fight, or I'd say I struggle with, is I'm training on the one hand my vocal muscles and capacity and ability to work independently, to be able to relax muscles that aren't needed, to only actually engage what's required. But I still, from bad habits, when I sing and perform, I still use other muscles that aren't involved. Part of that is bad habits, and part of that also is those habits carry on, and there's a memory when I've learnt certain songs of how my voice performs, when I've learnt to sing them, or when I've been doing them for a history of a long period of time. My voice naturally wants to default into the old ways, which is straining, using a lot of different throat muscles, and essentially that causes a lot of these muscles to become tense. And somewhere really only recently, I say recently in the sense of it's been, where are we, 13 in a bit years that I've been a full-time musician. Really, it's only in the last little while, I would say, that I've become more and more aware of tension, of what to do and how to solve these issues, ways I can go about it. And so predominantly, the reason I lose my voice is tension. That's the easiest way I can put it. Yes, it's singing a lot. Yes, it could be due to a cold or a flu and things like that as well. But in my experience, as I've learnt more, a cold and a flu don't actually affect your vocal cords. Just sharing my experience. They can actually operate still beautifully well. A cold and flu tends to, in my experience, affect the other muscles and in your neck and throat. And to the extent that it affects those, they tighten up, they restrict, and they affect your singing ability. So I realize this is really a long introduction or explanation up to this point, but one of the things I found that's been super useful is actually doing a laryngeal massage, which is exactly as it sounds like, and Google this, you'll find lots of different people who can walk you through this. But essentially it's a case of actually massaging all the muscles that are holding these structures in place and getting some freedom in that area, same as you would go for a shoulder massage, a back massage, neck massage, any of that sort of stuff. You're essentially wanting to release and loosen and relax those muscles. So that's one thing that I've found that's been super, super useful. But I mentioned before the false vocal folds, and I've dived into this a little bit more recently. I actually had a singing lesson many, many years ago. Thank you, Francis. And she got me to relax my false vocal folds. And I didn't think a huge lot of it, but I do remember singing super effortlessly at a gig that night after we went through and did this. And I had more range. It was great. Distant memory, ignored it from that point on. Just, kind of took it as had a good day singing and then ignored it. But really an awareness or an ability of these, whether they're relaxed or not. And in most cases, I would say for me, they tend to engage when I'm stressed, when I'm trying too hard, which is kind of their purpose. They're there to, in a sense, be another safeguard to come together and close to avoid, when you drink water, if you drink water into your lungs, right? It's to avoid that. It's to avoid anything other than air going into your lungs. And yes, Shimna, if you're listening to this, that's absolutely a dig at you. Personal joke there. Part of the podcast now. It will live forever on. But they have, so when you cough, they come together. When often when you're tense, again, you can go into more detail online, but it's my understanding, like if you do something strenuous, weightlifting, they come together and they form, how I would describe it, again, I'm not an expert on this, I'm sharing it in the hope that you can look up something that helps you alleviate extra tension and has you keep your voice on the days that you're struggling, maybe becomes part of a routine that has you maintain a healthy voice. But when you are doing something like heavy physical exertion, they tend to tense up. We don't really want them to. It's another thing that provides tension and restricts the movement in here that allows our actual vocal cords to vibrate freely. So, Are we going to do anything particularly in this podcast? No. I'm going to let you Google and do your own research, go through your own discovery on this. The biggest thing I would say is, can you start to regulate or feel when they are tense or relaxed? And like all things, this is a process of training, allowing them to relax and allowing yourself the space to relax. So just on this whole topic, one of the things that I find is important when you're struggling with any of this stuff is the ability to relax your whole person. And I mean that genuinely, in the sense that, like you might do in a meditation, can you go through and think, okay, can I just, if you work through each part of your body, can I relax my forehead, my jaw, the muscles in the back of my neck and the front of my neck, my cheeks and my tongue? Can I physically go through and mentally, can I relax my shoulders? Can I relax my body as a whole unit? And what tends to happen is, as we move into a more relaxed state, all of those other muscles tend to just let go a little bit more. You tend to get a little bit more movement, a little bit more freedom. And really, for vocals, the way I look at it is, I want those vocal cords as free to vibrate and stretch and change and move positions as possible, without any of the other muscles getting in the way. So yes, we dive. I'm giving general ideas in this podcast that you can hopefully use. Not specifics. You need to look after yourself and do what's right for you. You know, if you've got particular issues and things like that. But one of the things I genuinely do as well is, I will go and get an actual shoulder and back massage to contribute to myself having time to stop, just to be like, okay, thanks, I can stop, and receive that massage. And secondly, genuinely, the process of releasing some muscles usually has a similar effect on other muscles, even if they're not specifically involved. Like, okay, I could let go, I could stop, I could relax and be more free. So welcome to the first Tuesday podcast. Thanks for tuning in. And I'd love to, again, hear your thoughts, things that you do working through this. I'm going to tag on very briefly as the last thing. The other thing I do is a bunch of occluded vocal tract, semi-occluded exercises. So again, look this stuff up. It's things like using a straw. It's basically you're having some pressure against the air pressure that's coming out, so that those pressures are more balanced. I'm probably using the wrong words and describing this wrong, but essentially we're just trying to take more and more pressure off the vocal cords so that they can do what they do without any additional input or tension from other structures in the area. So I hope you've had an amazing weekend. I hope gigs are going great. Your songwriting is wonderful. Your voice and you feel amazing. And we will see you on Monday next week. See you later.